Stephanie Rule is going to do an interview with Ken Blackwell. For those of you who don't know him, he's a black Republican out of the state of Ohio. And this guy is about as right-leaning as you can get. They're going to discuss the issues with the Clinton campaign. And those issues, you know, they're out there for everybody to see. The one thing that both of these campaigns fail to realize is people are not looking for reasons to vote against someone. They're looking for reasons to vote for someone. Now, the Clinton people, you know, are doing damage control, and they may or may not be trying to ride this out because Trump's numbers are so bad and the polls are making it look less likely that he's going to get there. But at the same time, the Trump people, all they're basically doing all they're doing is attacking. So they need to put forward something that's going to make people feel good, not what they're doing right now. Now, Ken Blackwell is going to make comments about a couple of areas that he does not appear to have the expertise even to talk about. So let me play the video and you'll see what I'm talking about.
In the important swing state of Ohio, could this issue plaguing Hillary Clinton right now actually affect a state like yours?
Absolutely. I think national security is an issue that's playing across the country, and is playing in Ohio. Look,
this is not about national security, so he's jumping off subject.
For the last 2 years of the George H.W. Bush administration and most of the first year of the Bill Clinton administration, I worked at the State Department. I was the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations in charge of the human rights portfolio.
So that does not give you a national security background. It also does not give you an economic expert background.
And let me tell you, this stinks. And the smell is just not contained to inside the Beltway. It goes across the country when one of the big issues, both domestic and foreign, is safety and national security. And the fact that you have a former Secretary of State actually playing this game of pay to play for the funding of their foundation, again, it smells. And I don't think that they're going to be able to contain the smell.
All right. Even though I think there may have been some pay to play, there's no proof of that. So for you to insinuate that it was pay for play, you need to back those comments up with actual facts, which obviously he doesn't.
Does Donald Trump run the risk that he's not the right person to make this argument? This is a guy who does have business ties overseas, lenders. He has potentially had connections to Vladimir Putin. We've seen him compliment very dangerous people from overseas. Look at the guy's business history. Is he the right person to make these arguments against Hillary?
Well,
the answer is no, because he was one of the guys that was paying the play.
Let's start out by saying he was not the Secretary of State. He was the...
See, there they go. He goes again. Instead of talking about Trump, they turn around and flip the script to talk about Clinton. We want to hear about Trump, not Clinton.
Not the third most important person in the United States government when it comes to foreign affairs and national security. This was a position that she, in a singular fashion, has held. Believe me, Donald Trump will not be the only person making this case against her as being a national security risk. Those of us who have had experience in the national security field will, in fact, make the case. We're a prosecutor.
Yeah, but you don't have any experience in the national security field. You're an ambassador to the United Nations that dealt with human rights. That's not national security.
The case, and it's not going to go away. It's not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to, push it under the rug. And I think Donald Trump needs to hit national security issues, but he also needs to put this economy back on a growth path. We have witnessed anemic growth.
This guy's hitting all of the Republican talking points.
Job creation, and I tell you, many communities, that's the two things they want. They want to be able to work, and they want safety, both in their neighborhood and in the world.
Senator Jeff Sessions is on the stage right now awaiting Donald Trump to make his way there. I want to stay on that, Ken, because just in the last week, Donald Trump is trying to broaden out his reach to the Latino community, the African-American community. I want to share some of the things he said. Take a look.
Right now, you walk down the street, you get shot. You can go to war zones in countries that we're fighting, and it's safer than living in some of our inner cities. You're living in poverty, your schools are no good, you have no jobs, 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose?
Listen, he is saying to this community, you need jobs, it's time to fix that. But he hasn't offered a plan. Given his history with the African-American community, all of the things he said and his polling numbers, can simply saying, you know, what else you got, is that enough? Ken?
No, it's not. And the fact of the matter is that he understands that capital seeks the path of least resistance and greatest opportunity. And he knows that in many of our urban communities, capital
seeks the path of most efficient use with greatest returns.
Repelled because of crime rates, because of inadequate schools and worker preparation. He understands that one of the things that we have to do to get $2 trillion of capital that's being banked someplace outside of the country or on the fence, he understands that we have to work in those urban areas to make sure they have better schools, that they in fact have
I missed something there. He's talking about the $2 trillion that's overseas, and then he starts talking about urban schools. I'm missing how he put the two of them together.
Lower crime rates, and that they have people who, in fact, want to start in the entrepreneurial spirit, small businesses in their neighborhoods. And he can then tell them that they are faced with the same overregulation problems. They are faced with the same problems of that every other business, small business, is faced with.
That's not true. African Americans are faced with the lack of access to capital. That's their number one problem. Why is that? Because the banks do not want to lend to African Americans for the most part. You have to jump through hoops in order to get financing through banks, and even if you want to utilize SBA financing, there's a lot of hoops to jump through when you're making application for SBA loans. So, I mean, that was my field. So this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. The number one impediment to black entrepreneurship is the lack of available capital, lack of access to the capital markets. We deal with the regulations once we get going and we get the businesses open. And most small businesses really don't have to deal with a ton of regulation. Do they have to deal with regulations? Yes, they do, but not to the level that these guys want to make it seem.
They need access to capital. I think he can tell them better than Hillary Clinton. What she wants to do is grow the welfare state. She wants to grow dependence because, in fact, then she has a permanent political pot of voters from which to depend.
Ken, we have to leave it there.
Yeah, that's Ken Blackwell. I didn't like him when I first came across him. I don't like him now. This guy is like far, far right. This guy is basically anti-everything.